It's been a great day, right? So far, we've been listening to fascinating stories, and I think I can now. Okay, so events like TEDxMunich are great events because we can gather people that are really interested in discussing the subjects that matter. And while we can have two kinds of talks, the more informative ones and the more inspiring ones, I would like to choose or try to choose the second type. And while I was deciding what kind of subject I would bring to you today, I was stuck with school problems and the education model we have today that is very, very, very wrong in so many ways. And what I tried to do today is try to say that entrepreneurship should be brought to school and kids should be taught to be entrepreneurs. But instead of making entrepreneurship a school subject as I initially thought, I came to realize while I was preparing this presentation that I was more talking about entrepreneurship as school philosophy. So instead of having entrepreneurship as another class, as another subject, as another matter of evaluation by the end of the year, I think entrepreneurship should be brought to school as a philosophy, as the thing underneath all the others. So, but let's get started. We all have been there. Maybe not in the fancy yellow bus, but we all have been to school. We lived our times, so our parents were all proud of us getting on our first days, and we learned things. We talked to each other, we met friends we have today, and of course some of the classes were boring, and some of the teachers were disappointing, and we hate to wake up very early in the morning to go to school, but that's all part of the story. And what I think is that's not the problem with education. That's not the problem with school. That will always exist, that it always existed. The problem with school is that our world changed. So technologically and in ideology, our world has changed. We have different things now that we had not 40 years ago, or 30 years ago, or 20 years ago. So technology in the Valley and in Europe is completely changing the world we live on. And the problem here is that schools haven't changed. If you enter a classroom today, and you entered a classroom 40 years ago, you will find very, very similarities, because they are pretty much the same thing. Schools haven't changed that much. So what are schools today? They're still places where you are taught to memorize stuff. You memorize a lot of books through your school life. And the pretty thing is that you memorize useless stuff. Not only stuff, but useless stuff. Stuff you will need for the text, for the final exams, but as soon as you finish them, you will not need them anymore. And that's the learning thing we have today. It's an undifferentiated learning system. So everyone is treated as they were the same person. I'm different from you. I'm different from all of you guys. But in school, we are treated like we were the same person, like we had the same ambitions, the same vision, the same objectives, the same passions, and we don't have them. Not every student is the same person. And one of the big problems is this stratified solution, where math is the most important thing. You have to get A's at math, and all the other things have less relevance in school. So science is not very important. And then languages and arts. Arts are like the ugly elephant in the room. So what we have also is standardization. And I can bring you the example of the curriculum vitae we have in Europe called the Europass, where all the curriculums look the same. Where's the creativity? Where's the entrepreneurial spirit of the people applying to the job? We are raising a generation that is ready to have a tool in the internet where they fill the details and the resume is generated. This is very wrong in so many ways, because the thing is, each student is different from the other. And that's the main point of my talk. We are all different. And what we have in schools is that they are trying to turn us into the cool guys. Everyone should be a doctor, a teacher, or any other profession that the society and that the school itself thinks is the cool thing to be. So we all have to take A's at math and not care about hard, because we all are thought to be doctors, or to be teachers, or to be any other cool profession. Either that, or we should be a rock star. And let me tell you something, I'm not going to sing because I'm clearly not a rock star. And what I'm not as well is a football player. So my fellow countryman Ronaldo is a great football player, and that's very good with the chicks as well. But I'm definitely not a good football player, and I'm not going to show you how bad I am. So the big question here is, where is the passion? In society and in school, passion, the thing we like to do, the things we are good at, are many times forgotten. The other day I was riding in a bus and two ladies were talking, and one was saying, hey, my son just entered graphic design for university. And the other lady, very shocked, said, hey, graphic design, poor boy, he couldn't get into any other thing? And the other lady said, no, it's his passion. So passion is underrated in so many ways. But if we go back on time, if we go back to when we all were child with 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we all started to have dreams. We all dreamed of something. From something very, very, very simple, and it all started with walking or trying to feed ourselves or any other thing. We tried to be something. We had dreams. And we also had goals, very defined goals. We wanted something, and we searched for it, and we tried it, and we many times accomplished it. And we had hopes. Obama is not the only one having hopes. We all had throughout our lives, and especially as childs. So what I'm trying to say is that as childs, we are in the age of imagination and creativity. We build Legos. We play with Legos, we create things, we innovate. And what we as a society are doing is that we are missing a big opportunity. A big opportunity to take this natural, brute talent and make it a young generation capable of changing the world. And we are doing it because we are assuming everyone in my age is drunk. And let me tell you that this is not right. And many teens have big ideas. They want to change things. They want to revolutionize the areas they are passionate about. And if you look, youngsters are creating great companies. You are tweeting and Facebooking, and you are using Google to make your search and to go to your maps. And in the very beginning of all this is not only the volley, of course, but it's also people with ideas, and each time more young people are taking the lead and creating innovative solutions. But the kind of entrepreneurship I'm arguing about today doesn't necessarily have to do with creating companies. I don't have to create a company to be an entrepreneur, at least from where I stand. So people taking action in school, trying to solve their problems, trying to take the lead, are being entrepreneurs, and they are not necessarily creating a company. But I'm not saying just pretty things about my generation, because we do have our challenges, right? So, and one of the things we need the most is mentorship. Is people to help us find the right path in our lives. So taking our passions, taking our talent, taking the things we do good in life, and trying to combine it into a good path for the future. We need visibility. I mean, I'm not saying we need to be all on CNN for the last week, but what I'm saying is that we need our work, the accomplishments we made throughout our lives, to be shown and not to be hid just because of our age. And we need trust. Just a quick story, I started organizing a big conference in Portugal like 2 years ago as part of a school project. No one organizes conferences as part of school projects. And actually, the school director prohibited the conference. It told me to cancel it, cancel on all the international speakers we already arranged. Of course, I didn't, and now Switch is a cool conference in Portugal. And a big debate we are having now is if we should drop college or not. I'm not going to say that we should drop college. I think we can learn things in college, but we definitely need a different college. We need different schools. We need schools where entrepreneurship is seen as a philosophy. So we need to teach our children, we need to teach my generation and the generations behind me to search for solutions, to make their own opportunities, to don't give up on failing, better to embrace failure, to solve their own problems, to develop their soft skills, and mostly to take the lead. This will raise a generation that is capable of finding their own jobs, is capable of creating their own jobs, and that is capable of changing the world we live in. And that's eventually what can happen. We can create a more capable generation. And we should create schools where technology is an enable and not an add-on. So we can't just drop computers in a school. We have to teach teachers to use them. We have to create solutions that connect teachers and students using the technology. Technology in the classroom can't be just having a higher number of computers in the classroom. That doesn't make sense. But that's what we are doing. And we should embrace also creativity. Creativity is a very important part of the process of learning, I think. Also, I said embrace failure. And you do fail. So let us fail once, at least in our lives, because you do stupid things as well. We should teach my generation to use the new tools, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, well, maybe not MySpace, and WordPress. We should teach them that it's important to create a network that we will need throughout our life to face our problems. And we should most definitely promote and not criticize entrepreneurship in school. We can start looking at children that want to do something and tell them, you can't do that because you have to focus on math or science, because they are trying to create their own opportunities. I want to bring you a story. This is a photo from the streets of Lisbon. You sure heard about it because it spread for other countries after it. And it was called the Manifestação Geração Arrasca. So basically students and postgraduates came to the streets and said, the government has to give us a job. Well, the government can't do it all. And they have to search for the job. And for me, that's a very important question, because we are raising a generation that is waiting for a job instead of searching for one. And in the end, you will ask me, why should you care? So you have your own jobs, but remember one thing, once you retire, the ones that are going to pay for your pensions are my generation. So you better raise a good generation. It's our future, right? So I think it's time to change our status quo. It's time to change our mentality. It's time to stop blaming others for our own mistakes. And it's time to realize that we, as a society, we as a group of interested people can get together and can start creating the movement necessary to change education, to get entrepreneurship, creativity, and differentiation into the education model. Because this is a cliché phrase, but I think it's very correct. We are the people we have been waiting for. So we are constantly waiting for someone to solve our problems, to fix the education model. Oh, we'll be the next government. Oh, no, that will be the next. And we are okay, now we are waiting for the slides and not for the government, but that doesn't matter. What I was saying is that we are constantly waiting for the next big thing to happen so the problem is solved. We are always waiting for a miracle. So, I'm hoping I can have, yeah, cool. So I think it's time to change. It's time for a deep revolution in the education system, and I think we all can make this revolution. It's time to let our children keep dreaming throughout their lives, not only until they are 5 or 6 years old. It's time to let them create, to let them experiment. And it's time to turn our schools into kindergarten experiences, where you can learn, experiment, and try to strive on your best qualities. It's time to showcase and find the best school entrepreneurs, people who are willing to do something outside the classes. My final question is, of course, if we can change our schools. I think we can, but I also think it's time for me, for you, for each one of you to take action, to take the lead, and actually try to change education, try to change schools, turn it into creativity and entrepreneurial environments. Thank you very much for your attention.